Hello, family. Welcome back to another episode of Journey to Harmony. I'm your host, Richard Harmon. I want to come today and talk to you guys about how our educational system has failed our youth. So, over the weekend, a letter from Osama bin Laden, Letter to America, has been going viral. And many of the people who are on TikTok, many of the young people have been reading this letter and they've been taking it to heart, saying why America is evil. This all began, a lot of this behavior began back in 2020 when Democrats mostly used the anger of people to turn that against the establishment. So they use this for, all the Black Lives Matter situations that since this has happened as a result of the leadership in different parties using violence as a appropriate means. And it seems for the most part that the Democratic Party is losing control right now. Many of those Democrats are all for war. They want to continue funding Ukraine. They want to continue funding Israel. And what's happening is those who were once used to in places like the Supreme Court, where people were protesting outside of the Supreme Court, where people were having riots in different parts of the nation as a result of something that they didn't like. Those groups are now turning on the Democratic Party. They released them, gave them the tools and the ability for them to do as they pleased. And now all of a sudden, those people are now turning against those particular individuals. So there are two different events right now. There's a pro-Palestinian rally that's happening all over the country, all over the world for the most part, as a ceasefire is being requested for Israel to stop bombing Gaza. And additionally, what's happening right now is that this letter, people are already filled with emotion and things like that, and people are now championing Osama bin Laden as some kind of hero. I'm going to play a video here, watch a little bit of this. We'll come back and talk about it after that.
I need you to stop what you're doing and go read A Letter to America.
Referencing Osama bin Laden's so-called Letter to America, written by the late terrorist leader about a year after the 9/11 attacks. And now, the propaganda getting new attention on social media in the wake of the Israel-Hamas war. Bin Laden, in the decades-old letter criticizing U.S. support for Israel and its policies on Palestinian territories, and citing anti-Semitic and homophobic tropes.
The way this letter is going viral right now is giving me the greatest sense of relief.
The Guardian, which published the letter in 2002, now removing it, criticizing how it's been widely shared without the full context. And TikTok now stripping the hashtag Letter to America from its search function. New research shows searches for bin Laden up 400% on YouTube, and on X, formerly Twitter, references to him up 4,000% since Tuesday. One journalist's post on that platform, compiling some of the videos, getting more than 25 million views. TikTok saying interest spiked only after tweets and media attention, from fewer than 2 million views to more than 13 million on its app. A spokesperson telling NBC News content promoting this letter clearly violates our rules on supporting any form of terrorism, adding they're proactively and aggressively removing it. YouTube saying our community guidelines apply consistently, guidelines which prohibit terrorist content. X did not respond to our request for comment. The issue reaching even the White House, with the spokesperson saying there is never a justification for spreading the repugnant, evil, and anti-Semitic lies that the leader of al-Qaeda issued just after committing the worst terrorist attack in American history.
All right, perfect. So, the teachers' boards and teachers' unions have been using our education system as kind of like a weapon. They refused during the pandemic to allow people to go back into buildings. They wanted everyone to remain at home. They've been preaching a lot of activism in schools rather than teaching basics of education. And so we see all over the country that parents, for the most part, are upset with what's going on. This is a serious shift right now in our society where those who are patriotic are mostly being placed on one side, and those who seem like America is, this terrible place, are being placed on the other side. And what's happening right now is that a nation divided against itself cannot stand. So you see places like China, like Russia, like Iran, and they see the division that's currently happening in our country, and they're continuing to push things. So TikTok is being used greatly as an option for them to filter information in and to speak what is it that they want, whatever propaganda that they want, whether it's the destruction of the family, feminism, the hatred of the country overall. This is very nuanced in my opinion, right? So the like there's certain things that's happen, right? People were told if you go to school, you get a good job, you can afford to pay for your life. So the hatred that we see on the top side for some of these actions are layered, because young people for the most part they see places like BlackRock, they see these companies that are coming up and buying everything, and they are being forced to continue to rent. They see how the politicians who were supposed to be working for them are not advocating in their best interests, and they're having to compete against multi-billion-dollar conglomerates and things like that. This is a very nuanced topic right now. So while we can sit down and say, these young people are stupid for whatever reason that they believe, there are additional issues that are happening that have gotten us to this point. This wasn't just something that started in and of itself, but we see we see more and more just about how the removing of God from schools, how the telling people that you don't need to be married, you don't need any of these issues. Are that each one of them are building and building and building, and eventually what happens at the top is that it becomes a hatred for the overall nation, a lack of justification for anything that the country does in general, and just explaining away just why is it that they're angry. Generally, not fully understanding, some of the things that were sacrificed for us to be here. Many nations around the country right now, around the world, are facing similar issues. The young people are mostly being forced, to live in substandard living conditions as opposed to different generations. The cost of living is just astronomical in comparison to the wages, and people are frustrated. People are very um, upset just about how things have gone, and we have so many people who are sitting and waiting, hoping for a housing crash as a result, because they figure they can't really afford the life that they desire anymore. Right now, if you're looking for an opportunity, I want to have been looking around. There are different places where you could definitely find those auto mechanics. They're making between $90,000 and $130,000 a year. Nurses, for the most part, are in high demand because there's a shortage of people who are desiring to work in those fields. Consider some of the abuses that are being faced in the healthcare industry, but what's happening here is that I feel like we're kind of on a seesaw right now as the Fed kind of holds their rates, and we see how long they're able to hold them for. For the most part, the moment they drop them, there's going to be some serious problems here in this country, as the cost of everything is really going to skyrocket. Money's going to become more available, and we see this in other nations where $1 in comparison to $1 is like $1,000 to another country's wealth. And so soon enough, in order to buy a gallon of milk, it's going to cost $7 or $8 for a lot of people because of how things are being done. So this is a symptom in overall. I'm not overly bashing many of the young people as I see this in particular issue, but we're seeing kind of the degradation of a nation. And as we continue on, we'll see exactly how this plays out. What are your thoughts on this? Please comment below. Like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much for joining. Have a good day.